of 101 famous poems. The Daffodils. By William Wordsworth. Spoken and with commentary by E.T. Hansen. I wandered, lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. In the libraries of our solitude. There are times when the world closes in around me, when the demands on my time just keep piling up, when one little thing after the other goes wrong, and just getting through the day feels like eternally treading water. There's nothing I can do about it, and the frustration builds until it's unbearable. That's when I know it's time for a walk. Going for a walk is my way of being alone to commune with myself. That's my solitude. It's true that we are social creatures and need others to survive. The family, friends, the group, the church, the nation. And in loneliness, if we have to endure it too long, we turn sour and bitter and a little bit crazy. But the opposite is also true. There are things society, the team, the tribe cannot give us. Peace, spiritual beauty, fulfillment. Those are the things we glimpse when we recede into our solitude. When we take a step back from the loud, screechy, needy contest of society and look into ourselves, we find a world of its own there, a depth as endless and mysterious as the ocean, a warmth as secure and welcoming as home. Deep within us, we all carry a world, a universe that only we can see, and we only see it in those moments of quiet introspection. Some say everything, all of reality, really only exists in our minds. We may believe we are seeing and experiencing the real world, but in fact our brains read what our senses register and interpret it for us. Who knows whether that interpretation is true, or if our brains are just telling us what we want to hear, or only part of the whole story. The idea that what we experience in our minds is not the same as reality is a suspicion as old as civilization itself. The Upanishad talks about it, and the ancient Greeks had a philosophy devoted to the idea, solipsism. Today, neuroscientists will confirm the idea. Sexual researchers will tell you that the greatest sexual organ is the brain. And we all know what that classic movie, The Matrix, has to say about it. As we go through life and experience moment after moment that instantly zips past us into the past, our brain grabs hold of them, every one of them, and stores them in our mind, in that place where we truly reside. And there we build up, over time, a library of memories, of experience, a library of our world, of our life. In that library, we can, in a small way, relive our lives again and again. That library of inner life is where we go when we retreat into our solitude. But at the same time, there are dangers there. Diving into the deep pool that is one's soul can be as dangerous as it is satisfying. You can easily fall into a pit of self-pity and dread, especially in times of crisis or defeat, like a drug trip gone bad. People who meditate, who practice mindfulness, will tell you that these visions of destructions are only thoughts that can be dismissed like annoying gnats. When they come, we must merely identify them and push them aside. But we can also replace them. If our inner lives are like libraries of life, then all we need to do is go to that special shelf where we keep our favorite books. The books filled with light, love, and happiness. I have a special section like that in my inner library, where I keep the books I love most, and to these I return again and again. That one vacation we had on Tenerife we couldn't afford. That adventurous bicycle trip we took to Antwerpen. The first time I visited London as a kid and slept in that musty, smelly, creaky, beautiful bed and breakfast. My first plane ride as a child when the stewardess gave me candy. Those few moments in my life when I made decisions that would change everything. My first love. Going to a movie I had never heard of at random that happened to be The Last Waltz, and discovering rock and roll. Getting up early one morning and strolling out in the dark, abandoned streets, so clean and pure, and waiting for the world to begin. You can look at life as a constant collecting of books for our inner library. It may not be a place we spend much time in, but when we do go there, there is so much to read. I hope your inner library is filled with books you love, with books that give you joy and pleasure and hope and perspective. And I wish for you many, many more to come. About William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth, 1770 to 1850, was the English poet who, with Samuel Taylor Coleridge, launched the Romantic Age in English literature when they published lyrical ballads together in 1798. Wordsworth was born in Cockermouth, Cumberland. His father was a lawyer, and of his 4 siblings, his sister Dorothy was also a poet and influenced his work. In college and later in life, Wordsworth spent his holidays on extensive walking tours in Germany, Italy, Switzerland, and France, sometimes with Dorothy and Coleridge. In revolutionary France, he fell in love with the Revolution and with a woman named Annette Vallon, with whom he fathered a daughter, but they did not marry. Instead, he returned to England and married his childhood friend Mary Hutchinson, who bore him 5 additional children. He met Samuel Taylor Coleridge in Somerset, and the 2 poets became lifelong friends. In his preface to their lyrical ballads, Wordsworth wrote his famous definition of poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. He worked for the government as distributor of stamps for Westmoreland and received an honorary doctorate in civil law by the University of Oxford. 7 years before his death, Wordsworth was named Poet Laureate of England, an honor he only accepted on the condition that he have no duties, and thus became England's only poet laureate who never wrote any official verses.